today I'm going to be making one of my absolute favourite side dishes from the Chinese takeaway, and that is gluten-free prawn toast. This is the kind of dish that's really hard to find gluten-free from the takeaway, but it's actually really simple to make at home and so good dipped in sweet chilli sauce. So first of all, we're going to need to create the paste for the top of the prawn toast, and I'm using some shelled, frozen gluten-free king prawns that I defrosted and chucked in a food processor. I'm also adding some spring onions and an egg white. Now make sure you put the yolk in the fridge because you can use it for something like an omelette instead of wasting it. And don't forget, all of the quantities for these recipes and the full written recipe is linked in the description down below. This is just to show you how easy it is to make. So I've also added in some ginger, and now I'm adding some gluten-free tamari soy sauce as well. And finally, I'm just adding in a little bit of sesame oil, which is what gives this dish that kind of lovely nutty flavour. And then I'm going to pop the lid on and blitz it until I've got a lovely paste that I can spread onto my slices of gluten-free bread. You want it to be nice and smooth, but if you prefer it a bit chunky, that's absolutely fine. This is the kind of texture that I'm going for. Once your paste is ready, we're then going to prepare our gluten-free bread. Gluten-free bread is quite small, so I only make 2 slices of prawn toast per slice of gluten-free bread. You don't have to chop off the crust, but I tend to do this to make it a bit neater, and again you can save these and make breadcrumbs from them at a later point. Once your bread slices have been halved into triangles, it's simply a case of spreading on that prawn paste in a nice thick layer. It's around a tablespoon per slice. And then we're just going to line them up until they are all completely covered in the prawn paste, and then top them with sesame seeds. Now obviously you can leave these out if you don't like them, but I just think it adds a really nice crunch and it makes these prawn toasts look really authentic. So you want a nice thick layer of sesame seeds on top of them. And once you've done this, it's going to simply be a case of frying them to make them lovely and crispy and golden, and to cook those prawns through. So I'm going to heat some oil up in a frying pan so it's nice and hot, and when it is hot I'm going to pop these down with the prawn side down first. Now I tend to cook these in batches of about 4 or 5 because I can fit them in the frying pan with enough space between them. You don't want to cram them all in so they're touching because it'll make it really hard to flip them over, so it's best to do it in batches. And once you've got all of your prawn toast in the pan, you're going to leave it for around a minute on a high heat, and this is going to make it lovely and golden. If you do find it starting to catch, you might want to turn the heat down, and then we're simply going to flip them over and I'm going to try and flip them over anyway, and give them another minute on the other side so they get lovely and golden. And then they're going to be really crispy on both sides, and they're just going to be so delicious, and that prawn paste is going to be completely cooked through, and it's just going to be delightful. And there you go, that really is how simple it is. So you can see these are golden on both sides. I'm going to take them out and I'm going to pop them on some kitchen towel whilst I fry off the rest so that they drain, they're not too greasy. And that's it. That is how simple it is to make this gluten-free prawn toast. Now I urge you to go and try this immediately, because honestly, once you try them, you are not going to go back. Now you can serve these up as a side dish, and you can also freeze them as well so you can make a big batch ready for your next takeaway night. Now if you like this recipe and you want to see more like this, please hit subscribe. Don't forget the full written recipe is linked in the description down below. Let me know if you give these a try.